So it's Monday, and I wanted to get into the proper mindset for a Monday because it's Motivational Monday, right? I'm trying to stick with themes here. I wanted to talk about low value work, and I don't want people to become offended by what I say. I want people to think outside the box. So what I mean by low value work is it's work that can be done, like in my mind, by software. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are connected to their businesses in which they have something that isn't considered low value work that they do. And believe it or not, those people are probably succeeding for themselves or feel a success matrix themselves more so than someone who just justifies doing busy work or low value work. And the reason for that is just because maybe along the way you didn't find out what you actually like doing. And so if you take away this low value work or busy work, then you don't know what else to do. And that's not an uncommon theme these days, okay? So I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were trying to figure out what that is. And I always like to refer to it as a psychosis because, like, say, for example, it takes you 1 minute to do something that someone else is billing out at an hourly rate at, 4 hours at, say, $250 an hour, so it's $1,000. But you just say it's $1,000 for the deliverable, and then you just bill $1,000. Now, what is different there? Right? Like you basically are solving the same problem. It's just faster. So this relationship with work and value is part of the reason why people get stuck into these situations where I try to build them out a automatic process. And it doesn't have to be completely automated. It's just basically freeing up your energy and your time to do the things that you like doing. And what I was saying is that the reason why I got stuck in my own head with this moleskin one of the moleskins, was because I started writing down every single day repetitiously what I saw that could probably be automated in my life with my business. And then I'd write down what I didn't like doing. And so doing that was like that's what I love doing, was finding out what I don't like doing. It's crazy, right? What I like doing is finding out what I don't like doing, and then actually holding myself to my own fire when I look at all these pages and I realize to myself, I'm like, wow, you've been doing that for 30 days straight and you hate every minute of it. Get rid of it. Figure a way out of it. And so the figuring a way out of it was softwares or Zapier with like process removal, etc. Now, that being said, whatever that's connected to in terms of what the value is that my company's billing or what it represents doesn't matter. But there's two types of people. There are those that don't identify with that and those that do. And the ones that don't identify with that, what they do is they have animosity to these digital processes, okay? I call it digital animosity, and startup culture totally did that to people. Because software as a service is a credit card per user per month, and then the $1 billion factor, and what's the value there, right? What is comparatively compared to someone who has to work 8 hours and they only get paid for the 8 hours of work, right? So I see that animosity. So this low value, I don't want to say it like it's a negative. I just want to identify that maybe that's something that you have to get over. Because if you can figure out a way to do it faster, these days a deliverable is a deliverable. And so people paying for the solution understand that they want efficiency, speed and efficiency. So if they can get something solved, in a minute for $1,000 versus 4 hours, they don't mind doing the 1 minute $1,000, because that means they have the rest of the minutes and all the time that they have in their timeline to do other things. So they can start to squeeze down these timelines, and it's very efficient because the value is still there. So it's like an addiction to low value work, because if the minute that you don't have that, it's like you don't understand work anymore. And right there, I'm just saying out there that when I wireframe something for a client and I look at it from the perspective of me writing in a moleskin for myself in my own business, or any notebook journaling, I just like saying moleskin. And then I look at their process. That's one thing I give them. I say in like an executive training scenario, we'll just call it training. People don't like that either, but let's say examples. I just say, go get or I even give them a moleskin of their own, and I go, or a notebook. It's always moleskin. I give them one and I say, write down the easiest thing, because maybe you're not a journal person. Maybe you aren't someone that likes to take notes, but just write down repetitive processes you don't like doing, and then start to add it up. And then what we'll do after 30 days is we're going to look at any of those processes and see if we can negate the process with automation or an application or a better operation or better processes inside operations, whatever, better tools. And then you're going to open up your high value, and your high value is going to make you feel better because you're like, that's what I like doing. And maybe I don't like doing that. And I taught myself by my own example, by ritual alone, by writing in a book what I didn't like doing. And that's serious, because if you can get around that, then maybe free up that time, and then you're like, whoa, I really like sales. Like, most people don't, but I mean, maybe you do. Or, whoa, I really like human management, which, I mean, I'm not going to call it like supervision or anything, but maybe it's you actually like managing operations, that you could do, that could be something. Or maybe you have high design you didn't know before, because you're just so caught up in all the minutia that you have to keep doing that, and you don't understand what else, you don't know that there's an alternative. And so there is an alternative, and I'm trying to preach that, because it doesn't have to be that way. And I think part of the reason why you feel overwhelmed is because you do think that that's how it has to be. I have to do 8 hours of work to get the product. I have to do 8 hours of work to feel that I'm valued in the timeline, right? And it's a whole concept, and I was trying to find out what the psychology of it was, but I wasn't researching enough over the weekend, so this may be a little bit raw, but I'll talk about it again. But that right there is my motivation for today, because I think if you can write down every day processes, like even the positives and the negatives, let's say that, the positives and the negatives, what you're going to do is you're going to start to see you're going to be able to digest like pages of stuff that you don't want to read again. That's what happened to me. I just started reading the same thing over again. I was like, okay, that's got to go. Like, Jason, I know that you understand accounting, but hire someone to do this. And one of the problems, and I can give you an example, is with like cloud services. They are like, the apps are out there for the operations. However, they do require some human, intervention, or sometimes a lot. And I took the assumption with the automated method in the beginning, like 10 years ago, that I wouldn't mind supervising a lot of these operations and applications, but I was wrong. And so even little things that I thought I would be able to do daily, I didn't like doing. And so even though they were automatic and they required a little bit of supervision and some input here and there, I didn't even want to do that. So then I started outsourcing. But I kept my operations and my applications that I liked really close, because I agreed with that. But then what I disagreed with, me doing it. And then so as I opened up all this free time, which was during the day, I was paying for certain solutions, and I was outsourcing certain solutions. And then I would have all this time. I was like, what do you do with it? And that's a whole other conversation that we can get into. But that was my favorite part, because I'm like, whoa, I can actually figure out what I want to do with this. And then you start looking at your book, and then you start writing the positives. And the positives are what you do want to do. And that's when I started getting really good at this. When I started getting really good at thinking about mindset shifting and hacking and, your mindset. And oh God, #mindset. But anyway, it is what it is, because if I can get that one domino, I always say, then maybe people will have a better time operating their business. That's all I look for. I look for, hey man, profit and performance, like profit through performance, and also probably not feeling like a piece of shit every day of your life. Who wouldn't want that?